Be the Bridge family, as we pass the 100-day mark of President Donald Trump's second term, many of us are asking, what does this new chapter mean for justice, for memory, and for the witness of the church? Now, in just over 3 months, this administration has enacted sweeping policies, executive orders on immigration, the rollback of diversity initiatives, controversial pardons, and challenges to environmental protections. Now, among these moves is one particularly symbolic and troubling, a federal push to reshape or even suppress the mission of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. Now, this is more than a political issue. It's a spiritual one, because how a nation tells its story reveals what it believes about truth, justice, and human dignity. Now, this should harken back, for those of us in the community of faith, to Exodus 1, where you see this fear-based power. Remember, in Exodus, we read about a new Pharaoh, one who did not know Joseph, as the scripture says. Feeling threatened, what did he do? He enacted harsh policies to control and to oppress. In that case, fear, not faith, governed his leadership. We see echoes of this today. Immigrant communities demonized, birthright citizenship challenged, and fear-based narratives used to justify power grabs. This is not new. It's an ancient script, and as God's people, we're called to recognize it. Now, this is a situation where truth is under pressure. Over these first 100 days, the Trump administration has reinstated and expanded border wall construction. It's moved to end birthright citizenship. It's rescinded diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in federal agencies. It's withdrawn from the Paris Climate Agreement. It's threatened to alter the mission and the content of the African American History Museum. It's pardoned individuals connected to the January 6th insurrection. Each of these has very practical consequences, but together they form a pattern, a rejection of justice-centered leadership. This reminds us of what we see in Jeremiah 22, when Jeremiah talks about what it means to know God. Remember, in Jeremiah 22, God rebukes kings who build empires through injustice. He says, he defended the cause of the poor and needy, and so all went well. Is that not what it means to know me? You see, to know God is to pursue justice. When leadership suppresses truth, defunds equity, or centers power over people, it contradicts what God says leadership is meant to do. This should remind you of what we see in Amos 5, when truth is actually on trial. Remember, the prophet Amos saw this same thing. He wrote, "They hate the one who upholds justice, they trample the poor, they detest the one who tells the truth." You see, when truth tellers are silenced and history is rewritten to serve political agendas, we're living in what Amos called a day of darkness and not light. As people committed to bridge building, we can't ignore these signs. We must name them, and then we must act. Recall in 2 Chronicles 34, where you see this idea of rediscovering the truth, when King Josiah brought reform to Judah, not by strengthening the military or by enacting new laws, but by rediscovering the book of the law. When the truth was read aloud, he tore his robes in grief. He repented, he remembered, and he reformed. You see, in this moment, we need Josiahs. People who will resist the urge to bury the truth and instead unearth it, read it aloud, and let it challenge them. Remember the words of Jesus in Matthew 23, when Jesus said to the religious leaders, "You tithe your spices, but neglect justice, mercy, and faithfulness." Many politicians and many Christians still cling to a version of faith that is loud about morality but silent about mercy. That is not the gospel. That is not the kingdom. What is our call? Where does this leave us? It leaves us with a very clear calling, a calling to remember, a calling to tell the truth, a calling to resist the urge to sanitize our nation's past, to confront the misuse of power with the courage of faith. As this Be the Bridge community, let's stay informed, not for outrage, but for discernment. Speak truth, even when it's costly. Walk in solidarity with those most affected by these policies. Practice prophetic memory, not patriotic amnesia. There's a hopeful commitment that we have. Why? Because this is not just a political season, it's a spiritual test. Will we be people who remember rightly, who choose truth over comfort and justice over nostalgia? History is on trial, but so is our discipleship. You see, the truth has always had a way of sitting in the back of the room, quiet but undefeated. And no matter how many times they try to rewrite the story, truth always remembers. She remembers cotton fields and auction blocks. She remembers lunch counters and the smell of fire hoses. She remembers Brianna. She remembers George. She remembers Tulsa. She remembers Charleston. And she remembers joy, too. How we sang, how we danced, how we loved anyway. We are not new to this moment. We've always known what it means to live in a nation that tells you to disappear, then asks you why you're so invisible. But here we are. We are here. And though the walls shift and the wind howls and the powers that be would rather sell memory than sit with it, we will still speak. We will still write. We will still walk with our heads high, carrying a story too sacred to be silenced. Because truth-telling is not bitterness. Truth-telling is survival. Truth-telling is resistance. It's the holiest form of love. So if they put justice on trial, we'll be the witnesses. If they chain history to a myth, we'll write poems in the margins. And if they try to silence the song, we'll just sing louder. Because this bridge that we're building, it's not made of policy or politics. It's made up of people who remember. And remembering, brothers and sisters, is a revolutionary act of discipleship. Please like, share, and comment if you find this helpful as we navigate these very concerning times. I'm Daryl Ford, and on behalf of Be the Bridge, thank you, and may God's grace and peace be with you.